Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. My name is Erin Page, and I'm the Senior Law Librarian on staff with Fastcase Legal Research. Welcome to the Fastcase platform. Before we begin, I just have a couple of quick housekeeping announcements. The first announcement, you may have noticed that you're currently in listen-only mode. This is to cut down on the amount of background noise so everyone can hear me. However, questions are welcome at any point during today's webinar. To ask any questions you might have, on your GoToWebinar pop-up, there is a questions button. Enter your question there, and I'll be able to see it and respond during the presentation. Our second announcement, today's session is not for CLE credit. Fastcase does offer CLE webinars that are available for free on the subject of legal research. To sign up for those webinars and our lecture webinars, which are not for CLE credit, please go to fastcase.com/webinars. All right, so with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. As I said, I welcome any questions that you might have during today's presentation. Use that questions box on your GoToWebinar pop-up so that I can see your questions. The first thing I'll just go ahead and mention to everyone who is attending is that you will automatically receive your new login for Fastcase. It'll come via email, but if you don't receive it for any reason, please reach out to the support team at support, SUPPORT, @fastcase.com, and we'd be delighted to go ahead and reset that for you and make sure that you can log into the Fastcase system. Once you're logged into the Fastcase system by going to fastcase.com, clicking on login and entering your new username and password there, you'll land on this starting screen. This is the home page for Fastcase 7, our new system, and from here you have access to a ton of tools and resources to make the research process easier. I'll be going through this in tour style. However, if you have any questions at any point, let me know, and I'd be happy to explain that particular function in more detail. The first thing I want to point out is down here at the bottom of the page. This is the Fastcase blog where we post new announcements and information about how the system has changed. So because we are constantly updating, there's usually new features, new functions, new events, or new content that's a part of the Fastcase system. And if it's been a while since you've used our system, or if you're new to it, I recommend taking a quick peek down here to see what's changed and what the latest news is. The second function I want to point out on this starting screen is this button right here. Docket Alarm is Fastcase's sister product and is designed to interface with state and federal dockets to pull the rest of the information about the case. The pleadings, the motions, the complaints, all of that fun information. Now, this is not included in your Fastcase subscription. It is an optional separate upgrade. However, we have integrated some of the content of Docket Alarm into the Fastcase system for free. So I'll point that out as we go through the system so you can see where it is and can take advantage of it if you'd like to. I'd also like to point out the icons in this top right-hand corner. These are going to be visible no matter which page you're on in Fastcase, so you can access these menus anytime you need to. The first icon over here on the right is the account icon. If you click on that, you can log out of the Fastcase system. You can also switch back to our older Fastcase 6 system if you choose to. Fastcase 6 is still functional and is still supported by Fastcase. However, all of the new content and features is going into the new Fastcase 7 platform, so I do recommend checking out the Fastcase 7 platform that you're currently on. The next icon is your account management, and from here you can modify and adjust your login information. You can change your email address, any of that type of information. The last menu item here is your settings, and we'll come back to this in a moment to show you a couple of neat tricks you can do with that. Next to this account icon, you'll see the Fastcase Apps and Tools icon. From here you can see some of the entities that we have partnerships with. The first one I want to point out is Law Street Media. Law Street Media is Fastcase's newspaper publishing arm. And from here you can see articles on topics such as legal tech, healthcare law, and agricultural law. This is a completely free service. You can sign up for any topic that you're interested in, and is a great way to stay up to date on some of the latest litigation issues in those subjects. So I do recommend checking that out just by clicking on that link from the drop-down menu. The second entity I want to mention, we've talked about Docket Alarm. Again, as I mentioned, it is not included in Fastcase, but is a separate optional subscription. I do recommend checking it out, though, if you need that docket information. Fastcase also integrates with Clio Practice Management. So if you're using the Clio Practice Management system to do your timekeeping, your bookkeeping, your invoicing, you can integrate Fastcase with that system and store all of your client information in one place. We also partner with TransUnion. TransUnion TLO XP is a service that provides people finding and credit card history and all of that fun information. So if you need that kind of lookup, you can again add that to your Fastcase access through our partnership with TransUnion TLO XP. Finally, there's one tool left at the top of this menu, which we'll discuss later in today's tour, as it'll make much more sense then. The next menu over is the Help and Support menu. This is a very important menu because it's available anytime you need it. The first thing I'd like to recommend to you is the user guide. This is a step-by-step guide in using Fastcase, complete with pictures, and I really recommend it for an in-depth view of how the system works and how to use all of the functions. We also offer tutorial videos. These are short 5-minute or less videos on specific functions in Fastcase. So for example, if you cannot remember how to print after this session, there's a video on that, and they can be watched on demand. As I mentioned a moment ago, we do offer free webinars. This is a link to that webinars page that I mentioned earlier, so that you can take CLE-approved webinars with us or listen to lectures from various very interesting speakers and leading practitioners in their fields. Fastcase also offers hotkeys. Hotkeys are computer keyboard shortcuts that you can use to navigate the Fastcase system without having to use a mouse. So whether you prefer to navigate the system just for speed purposes, or if you're using an adaptive device such as a screen reader, our system is fully compatible and does provide access via those hotkeys. The last thing I want to mention from this menu is the one that's at the top of this list, Boolean tips. Fastcase does support all major methods of searching. So if you have a citation, you can look it up that way. If you want to enter a natural language search, or a search that's phrased as if you were speaking to another person. So if you enter a search phrased as a question or as a statement, that would be a Boolean, a natural language search. Now, the one drawback for natural language search, even though it's an easy search to frame, is that it tends to be a very broad search, and you might get some tangential responses as a part of your natural language search. That's where Boolean searching or keyword searching comes into play. In a keyword search, you're entering terms that you're interested in, and in between those terms, you're putting in connectors that tells the system exactly how you want those terms to be related to one another. This chart shows all of the connectors that are available in the Fastcase system, shows an example of how you would enter them into the search box, and an example of what type of results you'd get from running that search. So if you're ever confused about that, I do recommend this as a great resource to take a look at. We also, as I mentioned as part of our webinar series, offer a deep dive into doing Boolean or keyword searches that takes you through all of the connectors and has some really great tips for how to conduct an efficient and effective search. So I do recommend that session as well. We'll go over the rest of the menus icons in this top right-hand corner as we go through the tours. They'll make a little bit more sense later in the process. All right, now that we've gone over that, in the center of the page is the actual main function of Fastcase, namely the search box. You can enter any type of search phrase that you have into this search box. So again, a natural language search phrased as a question or as a statement, a particular citation, a keyword search with all of those connectors in it, whatever search phrase you have in mind. One thing you might notice as you begin typing in this box is a tool that appears underneath the search box as you begin typing. This feature is called Type Ahead, and it features a function called Predictive Typing. With Predictive Typing, as you begin typing in the system looks to what you've typed so far and makes suggestions for specific search phrases and for specific documents that you might be interested in based on what you've typed so far. So as you can see, I have entered a part of a citation, and without entering any further information, the system is making suggestions for documents that contain the portion of the citation that I've entered so far. So if this was the case I was looking for, Janssen versus Packaging Corporation of America, I would not even have to enter the full citation. I can just click and go directly to that document. As you can see, I did not even end up on the results page. So this means that you can enter a portion of a citation, go directly to that document, maybe even download the document, and have completed all of your research in Fastcase in under a minute. And yes, we've timed some newbies doing this, and it's very easy to get to what you're looking for and be done. Now, this also works if you are looking for an item by party name or by other information that's a part of the case. So for example, if I was looking for Marbury versus Madison, I don't even have to type the full word Marbury before the system has recognized what I'm looking for and has made it one of the suggestions. So super easy, super fast to type in a portion of the information you're looking for and to get a suggestion that's relevant to your needs. Now, regardless of which search method or which tool you're using to run your search, if you run the search without any further action on the starting page, it'll run across the entire Fastcase database. So this means that you'll get cases from Maine to Florida to California to Hawaii. You'll get cases, statutes, regulations, court rules, constitutions, attorney general opinions, treatises, journal articles, legal blogs, everything. All levels of court, the whole enchilada. Now, this is great if you're running something like a 50-state survey where you're trying to see how the law exists on a particular issue regardless of which jurisdiction it's from. But most of the time, people have a particular jurisdiction in mind, which is great. To set your jurisdiction, over here on the right end of the search box, you'll see Jurisdictions and Sources. Click on that button and it will open the search scope selector. From here, you'll see on the left-hand side the different state and federal jurisdictions, and on the right-hand side, the different document types. I want to point out in this bottom right-hand corner of the screen, you'll see briefs, pleadings, and orders. This is the content that I mentioned earlier that was coming in from our sister product, Docket Alarm. So you can run a search in that Docket Alarm content from Fastcase anytime you choose to. However, as I mentioned, it is an upgrade. So if you click on any documents from that set of results, it will prompt you to do the upgrade, but you can run the searches and take a look at that information for free. So feel free to check out and explore what's available in that system. On the top right-hand side, this is the content that would be a part of your subscription. As you're coming over from Versus Law, you're getting access to Premium Fastcase, which means that you're getting cases, statutes, regulations, court rules, constitutions, all primary law from all 50 states and all federal materials included in your subscription. So you'll have access again from Maine to Florida to Alaska to Hawaii, all 50 states and all federal materials. Secondary content in Fastcase includes treatises, CLE books, law review articles, expert witness databases, and other things of that nature. That information or those databases and libraries are available in an a la carte upgrade. So if you're interested in a particular book, you can upgrade to that particular book. If you're not interested in a particular library, you don't have to end up with access to it. So do reach out to us if you have any questions about secondary content in Fastcase. We'd be delighted to explain more. For this example, let's go ahead and just set a general jurisdiction. I'm going to run this search in Tennessee. So I'll just grab Tennessee here on the left. And then on the right-hand side of the page, I can select whatever specific library I have in mind. So I could grab cases, and I could grab statutes, you can actually search any combination of jurisdictions and any combination of document types. So I could search Tennessee cases, South Dakota regulations, and South Carolina rules. That's perfectly fine. Whatever combination makes sense for your particular search. Once you've made those selections, just hit Save and Continue in the top right corner of the page. And as you can see, underneath the search box, it will now show the jurisdictions that you selected. If you've picked up a jurisdiction by accident, just hit the X next to that jurisdiction to remove it. To the left of the jurisdiction that you just selected, you'll see a couple of small icons. I mention this because it's frequent that our user wants to set a default jurisdiction. So instead of having to set your jurisdiction each time you log into Fastcase, they want a particular jurisdiction to show up automatically. That's perfectly fine. To set your jurisdiction, the one you've just selected as your default, over here to the left, you'll see an icon shaped like a star. If you click on that star, it'll give you an option to save as default. Now, every time I log into Fastcase, it'll show me Tennessee case law automatically when I first log in. So that's a really convenient way to start off with the library that you want to every single time you log in. All right, now that we've set our jurisdiction, let's go ahead and enter our search phrase and run a search. To run your search, you can either hit Enter in the search box or click on the orange search button. So the page we're now on is the results page. And the first thing I want to point out is that your search phrase is still present here at the top of the page. So if you have a typo in your search phrase, or you want to add a term to your search, or remove a term for your search, or search within your current search, you can do so by modifying your search phrase here at the top of the page. Once you've made those modifications, hit the orange search button and your results will automatically update live right here on the results page. So you don't have to go back and forth between the initial search page and the results page. Also, in the search box on the right end, just before you get to jurisdictions and sources, there's a little drop-down menu here. From here, there's two functions I want to point out to you. You can save this search. So if this is a search phrase that you run frequently due to the particular area of law that you focus on, you can save this search and run it again from your History, Bookmarks, and Alerts menu, which we'll take a look at in just a moment. You can also add an alert to this search. So let's say that this search has results that you're interested in on an ongoing basis because it's an area of law that you focus on for your practice. You can add an alert to that search, and then every single time a new case comes out that matches your current search, you can receive an email letting you know that it's available. You can set as many alerts as you'd like in the Fastcase system. There's no limit on the number of alerts you can have or incremental charges. It's included in your access to Fastcase. So I mentioned the History, Bookmarks, and Alerts menu. That's this icon here at the top that we didn't talk about before. Kind of looks like a clock with an arrow wrapped around it. This is the History, Bookmarks, and Alerts menu, and the first thing you'll see automatically is your search history. This goes back 10,000 searches or 18 months, whichever is larger, and shows you the exact search phrase that you used, the scope that you limited that search with as well. Just to rerun a particular search, just click on the search phrase and it'll take you to those results directly. The second tab shows your document history. Again, this goes back 10,000 results or 18 months, and it means that you can go directly to a document you've recently viewed without having to remember the search phrase that you used to get there. The third tab on this menu is your Bookmarks tab. You can bookmark a particular case and then go back to it, or any document, and go back to it anytime you'd like to. So if you find yourself referring to a particular document all the time, it's super easy to go back to it whenever you need to. And incidentally, all of the information in this menu is tied to your individual profile. So for privacy and security reasons, you're the only one who can access it, but it also means that it doesn't matter which computer you log into Fastcase from. you'll always have this important information accessible to you. So if you start a search in the office and then continue that search from home, you'll still have your search history and can pick up where you left off. As we just mentioned, you can save a search and then come back to this menu to run it anytime you'd like. And as we also mentioned, you can set an alert on a particular search phrase. Then, anytime a new case or a new document meets those search requirements, you'll be notified via email. You can modify a particular search. So if you want to name it, for example, or change how frequently the system checks for those alerts, or add an additional recipient. Say you want to make sure that your paralegal is also CC'd on that message, you can do so from here. All right, and don't forget that you can also remove an alert just by clicking on the trash can icon next to that particular alert. Back to the results page. Underneath the search box on the right, you'll see your actual results for that search. The total number of results will be in the top left corner here. These results are in relevance order, which means that the most relevant case is pushed to the top and less relevant ones are pushed to the bottom. However, they don't have to stay in that order if you don't want them to. In the top right corner of the page, you'll see an option that says Sort By. And if you click on that, it'll give you your option to sort by date, in alphabetical order, or by the number of times that particular document has been cited to. That last one tends to push the more seminal results to the top of your results list. These results are also bottomless, which means as you scroll down, more results are automatically loaded. So you don't have to worry about, am I on page 1 or page 20 of the results? Just simply scroll down and see more results automatically. On the left-hand side of the page, you'll see your filters. These filters allow you to put limitations or restrictions on your current search. At the top of the page, you'll see the restrictions that are currently applied to your search. So in this example, I have currently limited my results to Tennessee case law. If I want to remove them, again, I can just click on this X icon right here. Underneath current sources, you'll see available sources or further filters that you can apply to your search. So for example, I could add an additional state or an additional court to my current results. So if 122 is not enough, I could come over here, click next to Eastern District of Tennessee, and get 32 additional results. Underneath these primary and secondary filters that we're looking at right here, we also have additional filters. The second one down, briefs, pleadings, motions, and orders, is again an opportunity to see that docket alarm content that we mentioned earlier. So if you wanted to see what kind of briefs and motions were on this particular search phrase, you would just click right here. The third filters down is the date range filter. This allows you to restrict your search to a particular date span. So for instance, I could limit it to the last 20 years, the last 10 years, the last year, or specify a specific date range. So 1983 to 1987. Whatever makes sense for your particular search, just enter the date span and hit the check mark to apply it. The last filter on this left-hand panel is a great tool to use if you're either researching in an area of law that you're not familiar with, or if you are a bit of a novice to legal research. So let's say that you're searching in an area of law that you're not terribly familiar with. You might know enough to have a starting term or phrase to use for your search, but not be familiar enough to know which additional terms you want to add to that search phrase. That's fine. Run your general search, and then over here on the left-hand side, you'll see the suggested terms list. This list includes terms of art and common legal phrases that are currently appearing in your results. So let's say that I was looking at this and I said 122 is too many results. I come down to this list and I go, oh yes, I'm interested in Miranda warning cases where there's been a motion to suppress. Great. All you have to do is click on the plus sign next to that phrase, your search phrase at the top of the page will update, and your results will update live right here on the results page. So you don't have to type a single thing. Just click on that plus sign and watch your results get filtered. Similarly, you can use this suggested terms list to filter your results and exclude terms that you're not interested in. So if I'm not interested in cases where there's been a suppression hearing, all I have to do is hit that minus sign, and those particular documents will be filtered out of my results list. So again, a very convenient way to get your results very focused, very quickly, without having to type a single thing. All right, enough about the results page for now. Let's go take a look at the actual document. I'm just going to snag this case here at the top. And here we are on the document view. Now, the first thing I want to mention is you might have noticed that the results list is still here on the left-hand side of the page, while the document is still here on the right-hand side of the page. And that's so that you can continue your research process without having to go back and forth between the results page and the document view. However, if you would prefer that your document be full screen, click on this square icon right here to make that full screen. Also, if the font size in the document is a little too small for your taste, just click on the plus or minus sign icons right here to adjust the font of the document. Finally, if this toolbar here at the top of the page is taking up too much space, you can hide it by clicking on the Hide Toolbar icon here on the right-hand side of the page. Now, when you open the page, it will of course have full pagination, full citation, everything that you need in order to cite a case or cite a document to the court. Above the text of the document on the left, you'll see the search phrase that you used to locate that document in the first place. The terms are automatically highlighted in your document, so when you click on that highlighted phrase, it'll jump to where those terms appear in your current document. If you want to find a new term in that document, just click in the Find in Document search bar here at the top left, and then you can enter your new search phrase. Sorry, I didn't mean to trigger that. It's being a little fussy today, my apologies. So as you can see, I just entered the phrase appellant. And then once I've entered that, I can hit the orange search button. And as you can see, the term is going to appear in highlight right here. And it would help if I'd spelled that right, wouldn't it? But you'll also be able to see it highlighted in the document. All right, on the right-hand side of the page, you'll see a couple of icons here as well. The question I always get is, how do you print or download from Fastcase? And the answer is that you have a couple of options. You can print directly from Fastcase. All you have to is use the keyboard shortcut on your keyboard, which is Control and P. Or if you're using a Mac, that would be Command and P. You can also use the print function from your browser. When you print directly from Fastcase this way, it'll go directly to your printer, and it will also print using the default settings on your printer. So if your printer is set up for 2-page into 1 or back and front printing, it will print that way. So if you're not quite happy with the settings, do check the settings for your printer. It is using the default settings on your printer. Your other option is to use the download function in Fastcase. To use that download function, above the text of the document on the right, you'll see an icon shaped like an arrow pointing down. When you click on that icon, it'll show you your options for downloading. You can choose Adobe Acrobat PDF format or Microsoft Word format for your document. You can also select if the document has dual column formatting, or use a single column formatting to take advantage of the full page width. Once you've made those selections, hit download, and the document will automatically download to the downloads folder on your computer. It will also show up in the bottom corner of your browser. Just click and you can view that document, save that document, email that document, print that document, whatever you'd like to do with it. Your access to Fastcase is unlimited, which means that there are no incremental charges when you use Fastcase. So you can print as much as you like. You can email as much as you'd like. You can download as much as you'd like. You can search as much as you'd like. You can stay logged in as long as you'd like. There are no incremental charges when using our system, so please feel free to use as much as you'd like. Just to give you an idea of the scope I'm talking about here, I in fact did help someone download the entire US code once. I still to this day have no idea what he wanted to do with it, but that's perfectly fine. We don't mind. All right. In addition to being able to download a single document at a time, you can also download your documents as a large batch. To do that, to the right of the downloads icon, you'll see this icon shaped like a sideways V. This is your sharing menu, and from here you can share documents from Fastcase in a couple of different ways. To download a batch of documents at the same time, simply add the documents that you're interested in to the downloads queue by clicking on Add to Export Queue. You can also add to that queue by clicking on the plus sign next to the result. So I've just added State v. Jenkins, I can add State v. O'Gwin, I can add State v. Crutcher, you get the idea. Once you've added all of the documents that you're interested in, at the top of the page, you'll see this icon shaped like a cloud with an arrow on it. This is your export queue, and if you click on that, it will show you what you've currently got in your queue. You can remove any documents you're not interested in by clicking on the trash can icon. Once you've got the documents you're interested in, hit the orange export button, and that will show you your options for exporting that particular batch of documents. You'll still have the options you had when you were downloading a single document, including formatting, but you have one additional option. You can either elect to download all of the documents as one long file, which I tend to find more convenient if I'm downloading statute sections or parts of a reg. Or you can elect to download each document in a zipped folder with each document as a separate document in that folder. So I tend to find this is more convenient when I'm downloading a number of cases because I hate when the cases go one into the next. But that's perfectly up to you as the user. Quick pro tip, you might have noticed that there's a bunch of documents under past exports on this screen. That's because you can see every document that you've ever downloaded from Fastcase from this menu. So if you're like me and you forget where you save things from time to time, you can re-export it by clicking on Export Again over here on the right side of the page. Going back to that sharing menu, you also have a couple of other options for sharing from Fastcase. You can email a document directly from Fastcase. All you have to do is enter the recipient's email address, so your paralegal, a colleague, whatever, and then hit send. The document itself will travel in the body of the email, so you don't have to worry about is there an attachment or did the attachment go through. You also have an option to generate what's known as a public link. A public link is a public domain copy of the document that you're currently viewing. So anyone that you give this link to, a client, a colleague, opposing counsel, a student, even the court, although ask permission before doing that last one, but anyone that you give that link to will be able to view exactly the same document that you were viewing in Fastcase, with exactly the same formatting, pagination, and citation. They simply don't have to be logged into Fastcase. In fact, they don't have to have Fastcase access at all. This is a great way to send information for primary law from Fastcase because this is a static link, which means it's available today, tomorrow, 3 years from now. So if you do a little bit of public social media posting, or you're publishing something on your website, or you want to embed a link in a document, this is a great way to share that information without having to download every single document and then send every single document. Last thing I want to point out from that sharing menu, and that has to do with copying and pasting from Fastcase. Let's say that the section I just highlighted was the best sentence ever and is going to be quoted in my brief. You're welcome to copy and paste from Fastcase, but when you do, it'll bring with it not just the section that you highlighted, but also the official citation for that particular document. So that makes it easy to properly attribute your cites because you'll always have the citation for the document next to the section that you cited. However, if you don't like that function, you can turn it off. Just click on that sharing icon and hit the little check box right there to turn that function off. All right, underneath those two icons, you'll see an icon shaped like a bookmark ribbon. If you remember, we mentioned bookmarks when we were looking at the history, bookmarks, and alerts icon here at the top of the page. All you have to do is click on that bookmark icon to save that document and be able to click on it and go directly to it from the history, bookmarks, and alerts icon. All right, one last thing to show you from this document view, and that's over here on the left. Fastcase, one of the questions I always get is, can you Shepardize in Fastcase? Well, Shepardize is the intellectual property of a different company, but yes, Fastcase does have a full citator. Our citator is called Authority Check, and to view the results from that particular citator, just click on the flag. Incidentally, the flag will also be visible next to the case name over here on the results page. So the flag icon will be red if the case has a negative in case law interpretation, and black and white if there's no negative interpretation. Click on the flag to open the document on the left-hand side of the page. And at the top of the page, right next to where it says Authority Check, you'll see this download icon here as well. That allows you to download the Authority Check report independently of the document. Underneath that, you'll see the name of the case and then your filters. So if you prefer to see how only one particular jurisdiction, say the Ninth Circuit, treated this particular case, you can filter this report to only that particular jurisdiction. On the right-hand side, you'll see your sorting options. By default, these citations will be in date of most recent or order of most recent, but you can also order them by the number of times they've been cited to, so that those seminal cases will end up at the top of this list. If the case has a negative treatment, if it's been reversed, remanded, superseded, questioned, criticized, or is otherwise bad law, those negative treatments will show up under this negative treatment stripe right here. And in a moment, I'll show you a case that does have a negative treatment. This particular case does not have any negative treatment, so the next thing that you'll see at the very bottom of the page is a list of all citing cases, so you can see how the court has treated this particular case in the later case law. All right, let's go take a look at a case with a negative treatment. So of course, this is Plessy versus Ferguson, which was overruled by Brown versus Board of Education. And as you can see, once it finishes loading, the Authority Check report for this particular case definitively indicates why this particular case has a negative treatment. Again, overruled by Brown versus Board of Education. And you can see a full list of all cases that have treated that particular case in that negative manner. So it's very easy to see the status of a case that's been treated in a negative manner in Fastcase and to go to that case to view any further treatment. All right, I just want to remind everyone one more time that questions are welcome at any point during today's presentation. Just use the questions button on your GoToWebinar pop-up to ask questions. All right, so far we've been talking about searching for a case and then the document itself. But that's not the only way that you can navigate to a document in Fastcase. We also offer browse or index mode. To access that, next to the search bar, you'll see a bright blue button that says Browse. When you click on that, it'll open the index or browse view for your particular jurisdiction. Mine is set to Virginia, but you can set yours to any jurisdiction that you'd like, or change your jurisdiction over here on the top left by clicking on Change Jurisdiction by Typing. You can then enter the name or use the drop-down to navigate to the particular jurisdiction that you have in mind. Once you're on the jurisdiction that you're interested in, on the left-hand side of the page, you'll see primary law, and on the right-hand side, you'll see secondary content. As I mentioned, your subscription will come with access to all primary law materials in Fastcase, and secondary content will be an optional add-on. Inside those two categories, it's broken down by the issuing body, so cases and court materials, legislative materials, and administrative materials. Each library is tagged for that particular jurisdiction, and to the left of each of these libraries, you'll see some small icons. If a library has a price tag next to it, that's a library that is not part of your current subscription. If a library has a magnifying glass next to it, that's a library that can be searched. And if you click on that magnifying glass, it will set your jurisdiction to that library automatically. If a library has 3 parallel lines next to it, that's a library that you can view from the index. I'll go ahead and click on the Tennessee Code so you can see what I'm talking about. Now that I'm on this index page, you can see that I have the different editions available. And if I click on the arrow next to that edition, it'll show me the different subjects. Let's go with criminal offenses. That looks like fun. And then I can navigate by clicking on the arrows to open a particular section that I'm interested in, then a particular chapter, and then a particular section. As you can see, the outline will remain visible on the left-hand side of the page, while the document remains visible on the right-hand side of the page. So this means that I can jump around in the index, go to the next section, go to the 1-3 down, without having to search for each section one at a time. On this right-hand side of the page, all of my tools are going to be the same as we saw with the case law example, with one exception. Over here on the left, instead of having the flag for the citator authority check, I have a capital A. A is for annotations, and if I click on it, the annotations panel will open on the left-hand side of the screen. So I can see really quickly how the court has treated this particular statute section in the later case law. Just a quick note about how quickly Fastcase updates. New case law hits our system within 24 hours of the opinion being released by the court. Within about a minute and a half after it hits our system, it's updated on every single report in Fastcase. So that means that if a new case cited to this particular statute section yesterday, you'd know about it today. Same thing with our citator. If a case was overruled on Tuesday, you'd know about it on Wednesday. So it's super easy to stay up to date using our system. For non-case law, we update on the same schedule as the issuing body. So if the legislature updates their statute on a biweekly basis, so do we. Quarterly basis, so do we. You get the idea. All right, just a couple more things to show you. I mentioned that we would come back to a tool in this top right menu, the one that said Apps and Tools. This tool is called Cloud Linking. And what Cloud Linking does is that it's a tool we built off of the public link feature we mentioned a little while ago. Let's say that you have a motion or a memo or an article, and that document cites to a ton of case law. You could look up every single one of those cases one at a time, and then add an attachment with that particular case, or add a public link to every single one of those cases. But that would take quite some time. Or you could upload the document temporarily to Fastcase. Our system will scan the document looking for those citations, and then we'll add a link to every single one of those cases, so that anytime somebody clicks on a citation, they're automatically viewing the case that you cited to. So not technically a research tool, more of a workflow process tool, but a very convenient tool that's included in your subscription and that you can access from that Apps and Tools dropdown over here. All right, just a couple more things to mention. The first one I want to mention is that Fastcase does have a mobile app. The app is free and is available for Android and iPhone devices. The mobile app will provide access to cases and to statutes, and you can search it anytime you'd like. Just download it from the App Store. When you've got the app open on your mobile device, click on New User. It'll ask you a couple of quick survey questions, and then you can start researching using the mobile app. However, if you prefer, the Fastcase main website is mobile friendly, which means that if you prefer to, you can log into the main Fastcase database using your username and password, same way as you would go to log in on a desktop, and you can use our site that way as well. Final thing to mention is that your subscription to Fastcase comes with access to the Fastcase support and reference teams. This means you'll have trained reference attorneys and law librarians who are happy to answer your questions about the Fastcase system or to help you with reference questions directly. So if you're stumped or you're having issues with a particular search phrase, we're happy to help you with that process. We can be reached by phone 888-773-2782, or you can reach out to us via email. Our email address is support, that's SUPPORT, @fastcase.com. But I most especially recommend using the chat function. That's this button down here in the bottom right corner of the page. When you click on it, it'll ask you 1 or 2 questions and then connect you directly with the Fastcase reference team. So you can chat directly with the reference attorneys or law librarians, who again are happy to help you with your research process. I really recommend the chat function because it means that we can send you a particular search phrase that you can copy and paste into the Fastcase system, or we can send you a link that'll take you directly to the results that you're looking for. So that's a great way to get reference assistance, especially if the research phrase is going to be a long one. You can also see that contact information I just mentioned for the support team down here where it says More Support. We are available from 8 a.m. until 9 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. All right. So with that, I'm going to check and see if anybody had any questions. I'm happy to answer any questions about the Fastcase system or about the transition process itself. To ask your questions, please use the questions button on your GoToWebinar pop-up. If you don't have any questions for today's session, I'd like to thank you for joining us for today's session. I hope that you take advantage of all of the resources that are available in the Fastcase system, and I hope you have a great afternoon. Yes, you will receive via email your new login information from Fastcase. It should be set to your username being your email address, and your password will be set to an individual password for you. Once you're logged in the top right corner of the page, you'll see this orange account button. Click on that, then click on Account Management, and you'll be able to update your search settings and your password there as well. Yes, all questions are welcome. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. How much is it to get motions? It depends on what level of access you need. So if you just want briefs and motions, that would be $39 a month. If you need briefs, motions, and pleadings, that would be $59 a month. And if you need the full docket information, including exhibits, analytics, and other information, that would be $99 a month. Alrighty. Well, thank you everyone for joining us for today's session. As I mentioned, we welcome questions at any point. Just email us at support, that's SUPPORT, at fastcase.com. And we hope that everybody enjoys taking advantage of the new features in Fastcase 7. And if you have any questions or concerns or things that you'd like to discuss further, please just reach out. Have a wonderful afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for attending.